Across the world, across the ocean, you are. Lightning that lights the fire inside will never, never die. Never, never die. Never, never die. Never, never die.
All right, so this is Brainworx BX Rooms, obviously a reverb, but this reverb is special in that if you notice here in the name BX Rooms with our M and S capitalized, and that's because we have mid and side control, which you don't see very often. This is one of my absolute favorite reverbs to use whenever I want an algorithmic based reverb and not a convolution reverb. This is a reverb you're going to be using over and over again. So in this video, we're going to go over all of the controls, see how it works, and of course, hear it in the process. So up across the top, we have a bypass. Obviously, that's going to, bypass our plugin. Then we have, let me step over here to B. Then we have undo and redo, 32 steps here. We can undo and redo things. We have 4 different slots, so you can set up essentially like 4 different snapshots within one instantiation of this reverb plugin. Okay, so if I go to B, we also have this copy and paste. I can copy B and paste that into C, so on and so forth. We can also reset each of these slots as well. Then over here in our output section, we of course have our mix knob, mix between dry and wet. If you are using this on a reverb bus and sending a lot of different sources to this reverb, you're probably going to have this all the way up on wet. But for this video, we have it directly on our track. So we're going to pull our mix down some here. Hear that?
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
And all the way wet. All right. Then we have gain in, which is going to control the input into the reverb unit.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
Just alt click to center that out, then gain out. So obviously is the overall output level of our plugin there. So just adjust your gain out to compensate for any volume changes that you might get from your mix and all of your other parameters. Then we have fix mix. And what this is going to do is, if we come up here, you can see we have about 200 presets. And right now I have my mix about where I want it. Okay, so if I go to fix mix, then I can come to my presets and grab something else, and my mix is going to stay right there.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
Whereas if I didn't have fix mix on, since most of these presets are going to be set up for a reverb on a bus, right? If I select, say, this, it drops me all the way up to 100%. So then I'm going to have to dial that back down. So fix mix is just sort of something for convenience. Once you find your mix level, then you can go through a bunch of different presets and just hear how they sound without worrying about, having to adjust your mix over and over. And then we have a wet solo, which is pretty self-explanatory.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
It's going to be the same thing as putting this on 100% wet.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
So you can quickly check your reverb and how it sounds just with that button there. So then we have our reverb types, and this is our quick select. So if I know I want an ambience and say small, medium, or large, we can choose that right here, maybe a room sound. Let's go to a different sample here. You can just choose those right here. But there's more than just choosing your type. Again, this is just a quick select that's going to adjust our parameters for us and get us sort of that basic sound real quick. And then we can come in here and adjust further. So in our reverb section, we have our reverb time, pretty self-explanatory. How long is that reverb gonna go on? I'll pull this down to minimum for now.
Across the world, across the ocean,
Pull it up.
you are.
You can hear how that tail goes on. Of course, if I have it way up here.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
That tail just keeps going, so let me pull that down. Then we have our room size. Again, self-explanatory. How large do you want that room to be?
Across the world, across the ocean, you are. Lightning that lights the fire inside will never.
All right. And then over here, we have our room shape. So this is sort of the structure of the room. It's going to sound more like being in a silo whenever we pull our room shape way down here. So let's pull our mix up to really hear this. Pull up our room size and this as well.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are. Lightning that lights the fire inside.
Back down here.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
You hear that tail? So use this for more of an artistic effect down here, more natural up here. Then we have damping, and we can turn a lot of stuff on and off in this interface just by clicking the name. So when it's white, it's going to be on. When it's black, it is turned off. A lot of this stuff can be turned on and off, even our EQ and MS, which we'll get to in just a second. So we have our high damping, and essentially what the high damping is going to do is damp those high-end reflections of our reverb. And we can also do that down here with our low end as well. So we can pull that down right here with our gain, and we can choose our corner frequency right here. So let's pull this up a little bit higher. I'll pull this all the way up. And just to really hear this, I'll pull this up here and then turn the gain down to compensate for that.
Across the world, across the ocean.
So here are all of those high-end reflections. We can damp that down and sound a bit more natural.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are. Lightning that lights the fire inside.
So just choose your frequency and then the gain, same thing for the low end. Now in this case, I don't really want to pull out any low end, but you can do that as well.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are. Lightning that lights the fire inside.
All right, so that is our damping. Nice to have that built in here. Then we have our pre-delay, and we can turn those on or off right here. As such, we also have a source distance, but let's just look at the pre-delay first. So a pre-delay, for those who don't know, is going to delay the time between our input signal or our dry signal, and then when it's affected by the reverb. So you can have it essentially be affected by the reverb instantly, or we can pull this up and have our initial transient, our dry, come through, and then have that sort of bloom with the reverb. So you might get a bit more intelligibility by pulling your pre-delay up.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
Okay. Again, we have our mix way up just for the video. Okay. So you can really hear this. Now let's pull our pre-delay up and delay that reverb signal.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
So then it blooms up for us. So obviously that's way too much. Pull that down and I'd have it maybe around here, at least for this vocal.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
Nice. It kind of blooms on that way. And then we have our source distance. So essentially this is like pushing our source or our dry further into the room, and it's going to filter off some of that top end as well. So again, down here.
Never faded by the lights or the dark. Across the world, across the ocean,
Then push it in.
you are. Lightning that lights the fire inside will never die.
Onto our effects section. First we have directivity. Now we have directivity because this reverb is actually a combination of two mono reverb units. And we can feed, say, the right with the right by coming down to true. Whereas if we come way down here, we're feeding the right to the left. And then in the center, it's going to be the sum of that signal. Okay, you're not going to hear a huge difference. Just understand that you can do that in here. So we'll start with reverse on this piano section. Take it over. So there's our directivity. Then we have modulation, which is going to modulate our reverb signal. The lower our hertz, the slower that modulation will be. The higher it is, the faster that modulation will be. All right, so we'll start up here around 6 hertz and pull our amount in here. almost get like a chorusy effect. Pull it faster here. Now, obviously, again, we have the mix way up. It wouldn't be that high, but you can use this to get sort of movement into your reverb signal. Then we have Quantize, and essentially this is going to give us some of that lo-fi sound if we take this down to 8-bit or 12-bit. So down here on 8-bit, let's turn our mix way up and turn this down a bit so you can actually hear this.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
Hear that on the top end, that sort of lo-fi sound. Whereas if it's on 24-bit, you're not going to hear any of that.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
Right. So again, just dial that in to taste there for some more character in your reverb. Then we have our MS and equalizer. We can turn on our mid side or our EQ, turn them on or off. So we have our stereo width, and it's also important to know our dry signal original, or click this and have dry signal processed. Essentially what we can do with this is process only the reverb with this unit. Okay, so if it's dry signal original, we're just going to process the reverb with this unit here, or also process the dry signal as well. If I just go with original here, so dry signal original, and we'll check out our stereo width, which again, you can turn on or off and pull it up.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
So we're really spreading that reverb out, or we can take it all the way down.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
And that's all the way down to mono there. Just alt click to put that back to 100. Then we can pan our phantom center there. So I'll play back again here.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
You can see how that center is being moved around. You can probably see it even better if I pull our width all the way down to mono.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
So you can use that as an effect or to counteract some sort of a problem with your phantom center image once you really spread out your stereo width. And then we have a mono maker. And what mono maker is going to do is allow us to keep our low end mono, so we'll have more power coming right towards the center of your head, and then we can let those higher frequencies bloom out and really get nice and wide. So again, right now we're just processing the reverb signal. Okay, if I want to process everything, I can switch this to processed, but right now it's just on original, and we're going to use mono maker to keep that signal below whatever we select here, keep that in mono. So as you can hear on that top end, even those toms now and those sort of like snare hits are coming down the center for our reverb signal. Now they are spread out some, but that's because the original already has some width to it. Now to really hear that, I'll jack up our width here and pull this up here. Then pull it down. So now that low end below 144 is still coming down the middle for our reverb, but all of that high end is being spread way out. Now, if we switch this to processed and we process the dry signal as well, you're going to get a completely different sound. Turn this down a bit. As you can see now, we're essentially getting mono over here for everything, whereas on the original, we still have some width, but our reverb signal is essentially mono here. Okay. So there is your mono maker to make your mixes sound more clear, because if you have too much low end reverberating everywhere, it's going to get real messy and muddy and you won't be able to make anything out. All right. So then we have our EQ. It's already on right now, And we can choose a low pass or a high pass, either off or 6 dB or 12 dB. And for those who don't know what that is, it's this here. So right here and right here. So again, you're essentially, or you are cutting those frequencies out either on the top or the bottom there. 6 dB or 12 dB filters there. And again, this depends on if we have our dry signal processed or just the reverb. So for just the reverb, let me go to our vocal sample again, because she has some nice high end here in her voice, and you'll be able to hear this a little bit better.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are. Lightning, no, that's the
So listen to that top end, those top end
never,
reflections.
never die.
We're cutting them out
Never.
just on the reverb. Now, if I put this on processed and we process the dry signal too, now you'll hear what happens as well.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are.
We're getting all of that cut out.
Lightning, no, that's the fire inside will never, never die.
Just the reverb.
Never, never die.
So again, use that to sort of rein in your reverb there on the low end and the top end there. Then we have in our EQ section here, which again, you can turn on or off. We have two different bands we can choose from, and we can also choose off. We can choose mid, and by mid, I mean the middle signal, not the mid frequencies, but that sort of phantom center. Or you could choose to EQ just the sides or the mid and the sides. So if I just go to just the mid, I can then find my shape right here. All the way down here is going to be a low shelf. And for those who don't know what a shelf looks like, a shelf would look like this. All right. So this is what we're pulling up or pulling down with our gain right here whenever we choose this shape. Okay. Now, once we come around here, you can see we're starting to get a more of a bell shape until we get pretty tight. Okay. So again, that's going to change it to something like that and then tighten it up. So you're essentially affecting less frequencies as you go higher there. And what we'll do is we'll just focus on the middle signal and then choose our frequency that we're going to focus on down here. Same for our other band over here. Same options that we have for this band. So focus around 300. Boost that way up. Now again, we're just affecting our reverb signal because we have our dry signal on original. If I put this on processed, we're cutting out that low end there on the entire signal. Okay. Tighten it up. Focus right around 70. Pull that up. So you can get a lot of different sounds there by using either your mid signal, your side, your mid sides, and of course using processed or original here. If we did, I'm going to pull this down a bit, pull this on the low end, and just boost that a bit for our mid. Then maybe for our mid and our side, we can do something with that too. So here we have a high shelf. Okay, so you can use all of those controls to shape your reverb to sound exactly like you want. And then over here in our InOut section here, we have a bypass for the input and a bypass for the output. Let me grab a part down here. Now bypass the input. You can hear that tail fade out. Okay. Again, I'll turn it back on. And it fades out, okay? So that's bypassing your input, and then you can also bypass the output of that as well. So output off, output on. All right. So again, you can use that to sort of check your reverb and see how it's sounding. Really hear that tail there. And that is all of your controls here in Brainworx BX Rooms. So we'll go over it a little bit more here and just see some of the sounds we can get here. Go to some strings here. Nice tail on that. Be sure to try to use this modulation here as an effect too. You can get some really cool atmospheres on piano, on pads, on vocals, on all kinds of stuff by using our modulation frequency there.
Across the world, across the ocean, you are. Lighting the lights, the fire inside will never, never die. Never, never die. Never, never die. Never, never die. Across the world, across the ocean, you are. Lighting the lights, the fire inside will never, never die. Never, never die. Never, never die.
All right, so this is Brainworx BX Rooms. Of course, you can always pick it up over at pluginalliance.com. Of course, this link will be in the description below as well. This, again, will be one of the reverbs that you're reaching to all of the time because of all of the options that we have here in it, and it just sounds good. And lastly, back to our vocal one more time. So again, head over to pluginalliance.com to check out Brainworx BX Rooms Reverb.
Never faded by the lights or the dark. Across the world, across the ocean, you are. Lightning that lights the fire inside will never die. Never die. Never die. Never die.